Let's continue to build off our SEC talk there. Another get from the SEC level coming from South Carolina. So that's nice that we were able to pluck him away from there. But I believe also Jakai Moore. That's who we're talking about next. He's been testing the SEC near 1,700 snaps, right? Appeared in close to around 45 44 games throughout his career, 28 starts. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is him going into his 7th year of college ball. Is that correct? Because he's coming on, he's get the COVID year, and then he had a medical red shirt year, so that this would be coming into his 7th year. Is that correct?
I believe you're right. So
Yeah.
this is his prove it year.
Yeah.
He's got a lot riding on this year, man. But he's a dude with a lot of experience. Has played multiple, so 1,760 offensive snaps. Appeared in 44 games at South Carolina, 28 starts, 13 at left tackle, 7 at left guard, 4 at right guard, 4 at right tackle. Can play every position on the offensive line. You're on mute, Troy, but
I'll piggyback off of that, Trevor. He started across all 5 offensive line spots at South Carolina, so definitely another versatile piece. And I mentioned it in the podcast before. We'll see how this offensive line shapes up, but you've got guys that you can really plug and play and get a feel for who's good where. You know what I mean? The staff's done a really good job at identifying players that are versatile, and that's a luxury to have too. But Jakai's a guy that is got some experience, and he's gotten not just at the SEC level, but he's gotten experience at different positions on the offensive line, and that's something worth noting about him, in my opinion.
Yep, completely agree. A ton of experience. Another guy that's a leader. So that room, we've said it before, but they did a really good job with the guys they brought in.
Didn't you say, Trevor, the one thing that came to my mind when looking at this guy was, he was a part of the offensive line at South Carolina, and a couple years ago, Carolina in Bank of America Stadium, I think, had 9 sacks against that offensive line for South Carolina. But did you mention a stat that, in what was his stat line in that game? Did you throw that out, or was I just
I told you that before.
that? Yeah,
Come
you
on.
did. I knew somebody
bro.
did.
Yeah, go ahead,
My
brother
bad,
Chris.
my bad, brother. I knew it was somebody. My bad.
Yeah, I'm just messing. It was before we came on. I was just telling that Carolina fans, they may hear, he played in that game, right? And they're like, well, I think Carolina had 7 sacks in that game. He didn't give up any of those sacks.
There you go.
O-line's a position, man. If you have a weak spot on that, the whole ship, it can. I mean, if you're getting one of those guys are getting beat every time, it makes everything go wrong.
And I'll tell you this too, just to kind of look at the offensive line as a whole, and then we can move on to who we have next if y'all are comfortable with that. That's up to y'all. But I feel like with this offensive line, Austin Blasky is going to be that guy this season for us to really, wherever your weakest link is, I think that's where he's going to be plugged in to play at, in my opinion, because I think he offers you the most upside for guys that can do that. We've got a ton of guys. It seems like, in my opinion, this staff was very heavy on getting players that have played both tackle and guard. Kind of makes you think that they feel comfortable with with who they've got at center, but they're still trying to figure out and plug and play guys to figure out who is the best at those positions. I do think, wherever that weak link is, I think you'll see Blasky fill that out, and it'll be anxious to see who the staff puts in around him as the other ones on the offensive line. I know I probably sound repetitive saying that, but that's just in my opinion, that's the case with this offensive line group. I think the potential. It's probably the most. Not only is it the most important position for a football team, I think for our football team this year, and in order for us to have success, this offensive line has got to be very, very successful in order for what we want to do to work and for us to have the success that we want to have. It's a very, very important position.
Absolutely.
A group.
And we said when you can run the ball, man, it's you win a lot of football games. But also when we talked about our wide receiver room, what do we have? It was a lot of bodies in that room, but not a lot of experience. Well, when your offensive line, if your offensive line is good at pass blocking and they can keep that rush back, and these guys got all day to run around, man. You can get open when you're the corners. They can't run forever. So this offensive line room can be huge and open up a lot of things and make it the job easier for about everybody on the offense. So
Yeah,
good point, Troy.
Yeah, definitely a good point there by Troy.
Tar Pit crew, thanks for tuning in today. You just heard a clip from a recent episode where we broke down one of the key position groups. If this episode hit the mark, do us a favor, like it, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. That kind of support keeps the podcast rolling. You can catch full episodes of the Tar Pit Podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Don't forget to follow and subscribe today. The Tar Pit Podcast is proudly powered by Untapped Sports Network. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Heels.